I'm in our restaurant menu.liquid. This is our section file. And down at the bottom of the file, we'll start with the schema because, like I mentioned in the tutorial before, this is what we built first. And we'll go step by step through the schema and see what this is all about. So the first key that we have here is the name key. And then the value, you'll see it has this T colon. Whenever you see that in the Shopify Dawn theme, what that means is it's mapped for a translation to the locales file, right? So this is where the actual name string lives. So what the heck does all that mean? Well, let's have a look. So if we go over into our default language, which is English, and the default schema.json file, this is where, in our case, these translations live, right? So we'll go over here and we're creating a section, right? So we need to put our translations in the section object in this file. It's a big file. So I kind of cheated a little bit and looked ahead and see where it was. It's on line 367 in my case, but it's going to be different for every file. So let's find 367. Okay, here's the sections object, right? And then you'll see that the sections are alphabetical, right? So we want to make sure we're in here. And in VS Code, you can see how you got this line here. This will help you know where it ends, right? It's a big file, but I'll just go ahead and skip ahead to where I put it. The way I found it is it's rich text snippets would be the first one, alphabetical before mine. But let's just go right to it. So I go Command F and then just type restaurant. Okay, and you'll see it brings us right down here to the restaurant menu object that I created here in our default schema.json. And this is mapped with the translations, right? So before I showed you that the name was the first key in our schema in the section file. And then you can see that we gave it a value of restaurant name, or excuse me, restaurant menu. Okay, and then we go into the settings object, right? And then there's a label there for the image picker. And then this is where we put that actual label that we want to have. And then we have the title, right? And then the next key is the blocks themselves. And you'll also see I tried my best to follow the convention that the Dawn themes are already using. The top level, they seem to be using a hyphen, right, for the key. And then when they get it down into the actual keys in the settings and the blocks, they're using an underscore. So I tried my best to follow the same convention that they're currently using in their naming. So we got our blocks, and so these are the name of the menu link, right? And then you got the settings, and then you got the title, and then you got this little important note I wrote before about making sure the collection name is the same. And then what down here is the presets, and as we'll see in a little bit, the presets is what actually makes it show up in the theme customizer so people can use. So this is where our translations files are. It's not mandatory that you put these in, and it takes it. I don't know about you, but it took me a while to wrap my head around it. Hopefully, I'm making it easy for you. But it's well worth it to do the work up front, because later, if somebody wants to do translations in their theme editor, they're all set up. So let's go back to the section code, right? Okay, we'll step through the schema, right? So we have our settings, and then these settings are on the section itself. So I put in an input type of image picker, and so that's enables the user, merchant, or whoever to be able to pick an image. These are input types. This is something that Shopify gives you in the input types, right? And the ID is what I'm going to map it to in the code, and then here's the label that matches the locales file that we spoke of. Like I said, I'm not actually using this in the current section code. I just put this in there so it'll be available later, to further customize the section. Now we're getting down into the meat and potatoes. Now here's the blocks, right? And you see, it has a type of menu link. Then it has that translations that's mapped there, and then the different settings that are available, right? So you could add an image, and you could add a text, and then for the title, and then the really important one here is, in our case, is the menu collection name, right? And then that's the handle is gonna map to rendering our cards for each menu item. You'll see that in a little while. The presets, now this is what makes it show up in the theme editor. The bare minimum, you have to have at least a name, I believe. And then for the blocks, I just put the blocks menu type. There's a lot more that you can do with this. So that way, when somebody goes into the theme editor, things are already there available for them. There's much more you can do with it. But just the thing to remember that is your section's not going to show up in the theme editor unless you have this presets array. A little bit about Liquid in case you're not familiar. These are basically Liquid tags here that I got in these comments. And then you'll see this one, output. When you get double curly brackets, that designates an output. And then when you got the single curly brackets, that's where you're performing some logic. And then when you add the hyphens to these, that's how you control the white space. And then, of course, we have conditionals like your typical if-else statement. And then you have ways to assign variables. There's a few different ways. The first way is that you use the assign tag, and that assigns a single variable, whatever primitive type is available, number, string, etc. And then you have the capture tag, and then that allows you to capture multiple values. And then we have iteration tags like for loops and whatnot. And then next we have filters. Filters are really powerful, and you can tell it's a filter by the pipe character. It comes right after the pipe character. And you can add multiple filters to a statement. Like down below here, we have this output statement. And what this is the block refers to an individual block that we'll loop over. You'll see that in a minute. But if you go down below in the schema, we'll take a trip down there and have a look. Okay, here's the blocks, right? We got our settings, and then blocks, and then we have these different types of blocks. The first block that we have is an image picker, and then this is in the back end and the theme editor where the whoever's messing around with the theme is going to select an image, and then this is the ID that we use to map it in the code, right? So what we're doing is we're grabbing that image that was selected in the theme editor. Scroll back up here. Now we got the pipe character, so we're applying a filter, and this particular filter is image URL. Shopify puts out this really neat cheat sheet over here. It's super helpful. You can find all kinds of stuff in here. I looked up the image URL, And when I was putting this together a while back, the IMG URL filter, you can still use it, but it's been depreciated. So the way that they want you to do it now is use this image URL filter, and you can find that in the docs. In the Shopify docs, there's some links to that stuff in the tutorial, but you can look it up here and you can see it basically does the same thing. It's just formatted a little bit different, but you can look it up, and you can look up all these other tags and stuff as well. It's a really great resource, and we'll see some of these others later. So you got the tags, filters, objects. The next thing we'll look at here is this liquid tag. Let's see. Let's look up this one. Okay. All right. Liquid tag. Theme tags. Okay, here it says it allows you to write multiple tags within one set of delimiters. This reduces the requirement to open and close multiple sets of delimiters when creating variables in condition or executing blocks of code. So that you can see this cheat sheet's real handy for looking stuff up. So I'll kind of put that off to the side for now. There we go. Okay. So let's dig a little bit farther into the code here. Maybe we'll go down and look at the schema. And what a schema is where we have our settings and our blocks that we use in the theme editor, right? And then we'll map those to the code here in this file. So, for example, we got this settings object, right? Or excuse me, array. You got the settings array of the different settings. So this is settings on the section itself, right? So in this case, we have the restaurant menu section. So the top level has an image picker and a text where you can pick some text. And then we have the blocks, and each block is a menu link, and then it has its array of settings, things that you can do in the the theme customizer. So we got an image picker, you can pick a text, and then I got another one down here where we're picking two texts with the name of the collection. You'll see what that does in a little bit. And then these presets, you need to have these presets at least, I believe it's just at least the name and the blocks for it to show up in the theme customizer. And what this does is it presets these things in the theme editor. So like when somebody clicks add the section and they click on restaurant menu section, it'll have this one block set of menu link. But I believe you have to have the name and the blocks array at a minimum to be able to use it in the theme editor. Otherwise, it doesn't show up. Okay, let's scroll up here and kind of go through the code step by step. We'll just look at the liquid for right now. We'll look at the Alpine JS stuff later. But let's just look at the liquid for now. So I'll highlight this code. So let me find let's see, I'll click it there. And then where's the N4? Let's see, okay, the N4. Okay, this code that I highlighted here, you can see we got our for loop here, right? So for block in section.blocks, so for each block in this section, we're going to do something, right? So each block that was created in the back end. And what I'm doing here is I'm wrapping each block that we do something to in a button, so it makes it clickable, right? So we got our button, and then what we're doing down here in our conditional, the if-else statement, we're seeing if it has an image, right? If it has that link image that we spoke of earlier, if it's not blank, and that means it has an image, and then we'll capture the different sizes, which basically just creates a source set, once the code is rendered in the browser. And then we got the settings for the link image, right? And then we're applying this image URL, which gets the URL, and it happens to take a width and height attributes. I believe you only have to put in the width. And then we have the image tag filter that supplies a image tag, and then it takes attributes just like a normal image tag was. But this really does some great stuff under the hood. You can dig into that later. And then if we don't have an image, what we're doing here is we're just using this placeholder SVG, and it's a filter. And then so there's different placeholders, SVGs that that Shopify provides. You can find that in the docs. I'll put some links in the tutorial how to find all this stuff. And then the other thing that we're doing down here, see, we got an output again, and we're just outputting the title, right? Okay, so that's the top three sections, or the top sections, and those are your in this case would be menu. I guess you could call them menu buttons, and you'll see how that. You probably saw how that works already. And then the next section is going to render all the different particular menu items for the particular collection, whether it's the breakfast menu, lunch menu, or what have you. And we'll highlight that. Excuse me, I hope I can highlight it. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're looping over the blocks again. And this stuff here, we'll get into that in a little bit. That's the Alpine JS stuff. That's what's doing our animations and whatnot. But let's stick with the liquid here. So you'll see here that we're outputting the title from the block settings, and then this part where it gets a little bit interesting. I used the liquid tag here, and I wrapped it around these two assign tags, so I wouldn't have so many tags. And theme check will bark at you too if you have too many tags in a row. So that it's a lot of times it's better to put it in between these liquid tags. And we saw what the liquid tag does above before. So what I'm doing is I'm assigning this variable. I named it col name, and then in the blocks.setting.menu.collection_name, that's where in the theme editor where you put in the name of the collection. And we have this filter here. You can see the pipe and then handleize. And what that does is that takes that string and converts it into a handle, right? And then let's look that up there. Let's see, handle. Let's see if we can find what is a handle. Okay. All right. Let's see. What is a handle? The way that handleize, here we go. Okay. Here we're using this handleize filter, and then it forms the string into a handle. So basically, if there's spaces or there's uppercase and lowercase, it makes it all lowercase with hyphens in between. And this handle is what we're using to get the right in this case, the way I laid it out is we're using this handle to get the right collection for whether it's the breakfast menu, the lunch menu, or what have you, right? So in this variable, we're grabbing the right collection, and then the next variable I assigned here is we need this product form ID, and then what this does is helps us with the add to cart button. The add to cart, you'll see this in a minute. The add to cart button in the snippet is what renders the the right form for the right product. And then we're using this a pen filter because it has to have the section ID, right? Okay, so now we're using a little bit more logic here, and then we're seeing if we actually have a collection name, and then if we do, then we loop over the products in the particular collection. See, and then see how we have these brackets here, and then we insert our variable for our collection. Well, this is a handle, right? And so this is what grabs the right products. And then we have our snippet here. And then this is how you render a snippet. And then it's taking an item parameter, and we're passing in the actual product. And then it also has this product form ID pass, I called it. And then we're passing in the form ID, so we can use that in the snippet. So let's have a look here in the snippets and see what's going on with that. Then we'll scroll down here, and then it's this. Let's see. Oh, okay, I already got it up here. Sorry. Anyways, we'll close that, and then so same kind of thing here. We're got our conditionals. If the product that we passed in well, in this case we're calling it item, has a featured image, then we're going to render this image, right? And then use the attributes from the product object that we're calling item in this case. If there's no image, then what we're going to do is we're just going to render that placeholder. And then if you come down here, then you can see we're outputting the title, and then a link to the item URL. So what this does is this enables you to go to the actual product, right? And then we have the price, and then we got we're outputting item.price, and we're using this money filter, and then that formats the currency real nice, what that filter does for us. And then next we just outputting the item description, and then down here this product form, this is actually a web component that's in the Dawn theme itself. And so I grabbed this form, and what it does is it wraps around the buttons basically for the add to cart, and I have another button in there that I created that goes to the product. So all this stuff just renders those buttons, and then this is the actual form, right? And that gets the data and sends it to the cart, right? So we got the item, which is the product. There's that ID that we passed in, so we know the right one. And then it's got this hidden input that it uses it to kind of make the whole thing work. And then here's the buttons, and then and I took out the standard button that it comes with in the Dawn theme, and instead I put in the custom button that I made that's styled with Tailwind CSS. And then we got our logic down here. If it's available, then add it to cart. Else, say it's sold out. And then the next thing we got is it'll show a spinner if it's still loading. And then then we got your dynamic buttons. If you want to have a dynamic payment button down here. And then this one here is a link for the more info button in the snippet in the product card. You probably saw that in the other video with the what it actually shows like in the theme itself. So this this will go to the product. The more info button goes to the product. So like if you want to put more information about nutritional information or what have you, but you don't have to go there. It doesn't automatically go there. You can just add it to the card and then it'll drop down. And that's basically how the code works in here. I hope you found this helpful.